Hello, everyone. Today, I would like to convey a presentation topic that I believe to be of the utmost importance when facing each program and belief head on. The title of this video is Ebbs and Flows, but it's not the typical type of emotional ups and downs one faces when operating in the first cog. Although from a viewpoint where this hasn't been observed or accepted as a truth, it can seem to be an emotional roller coaster. This is merely a misconception, albeit psoyca humans have and continue to be programmed and manipulated in some of the most grotesque and mind-boggling ways. The level of insanity with the opposition is not even sad. It is so far beyond that. There is no word in the human vernacular to properly convey the current situation we find ourselves in. This says two things. Either Earth humans have been sold so far down the river that there is no coming back, or the potentialities of the human species is so far reaching and grandiose that this much effort and time had to be devoted to the sole purpose of controlling and in turn milking the human cash crop of potentialities and diverse energies. Now, there may be some who have not heard this or read this before, but the Beals go into the matter in their work. It is very beneficial to know. I will give a brief explanation about why this is so important. In essence, the human species is a coagulated mix of a vast number of sentient life forms. This was purposefully done to make a humanoid mutt breed of many species. When stealing energies, the more species DNA and energetic DNA you have in that species, the larger spectrum of energetic flavor that species will contain. This is a tough pill to swallow, and I know that from experience. But that is an honest assessment of how the opposition see Earth humans and continue to see them to this day. This is where it gets good, though. The upside to this far outweighs their gimmick creation and genetic manipulation. Humanity has a large amount of potentialities from a vast number of species all across the multiverse, which basically means we have the information of many varying levels of conscious species within our DNA. This includes potentials for conscious evolution as well. All this and more is just waiting to be accessed from a point in which it can be handled with impeccability, unbending intent, and discernment. Those mandatory parameters are only achieved when enough of one's programming is removed. Then, the space in which they resided gets reclaimed by your psoyca. This is the only mode of operation that embodies those parameters stated above. I'm getting a little bit off topic here, but that needed to be stated. If it benefits just one person, then the goal will be achieved. Now let's get to the topic of today, which is ebbs and flows, but only those pertaining to willing psoyca growth. And any other approach will miss the mark or not apply to you. If you are not serious about becoming a responsible psoyca, then why waste your time in limited thinking space? This may seem a bit harsh, but is not meant in a demeaning manner. Those are just cold, hard facts. And if you want to step into your big boy shoes or big girl shoes, then you must first have calloused feet. When one begins the process of eroding their programs and beliefs, they essentially take on a task. This task is to begin correcting and obliterating any and all programs of an inverted hive nature. This decision allows you to start agreeing to the expansion of your consciousness, thereby aligning with the prerogatives of your psoyca. In turn, it opens up a doorway for your psoyca to regain more conscious authorship of your psyche, body, and consciousness. In essence, inviting it in to start working more closely to its own program psyche. Now, this may seem all fine and dandy, but the lines between psoyca and psyche get very, very blurred, especially in the beginning stages. The lines become more clear the more you develop. The more programming you uninstall, the more beliefs you drop self-identification with, the more one is able to make the known distinctions between false and real conscious thought thinking. Herein lies the subject matter of ebbs and flows. those that one goes through when beginning to make known distinctions between the false programmed psyche and the real psoyca consciousness. The ebbs come when you are operating and or thinking with programmed filters or with false belief filters in place. All of these programs and beliefs just clutter the mind and almost fully cut you off from psoyca knowledge. These can also be the low points or uncomfortable periods. These are some of the make it or break it scenarios that push you to the very precipice of giving up. Do not let the programming win. Is the most important phase to pay close attention to. During these periods, your psoyca is pointing out stuff to you that must be uninstalled or replaced with psoyca knowledge. Although during the ebb periods, it feels as if all your progress is just falling apart in your mind. During these periods, one must utilize the oh-so important tool that is unbending intent. Without it, you're toast. Unbending intent is used to push one through the mental barriers or programs and beliefs. This is done in order to cut the etheric cord that keeps you locked into the programming and or belief system. Once you can look at it in that light, then you know how to cheat the system, so to speak. It is no fast track or fix-all method. It is merely a mindset that one can carry in order to see the tough periods for what they are. If it is to be utilized properly, it can be the impetus that gets one through the tough periods or the ebbs. You will know it is just a sign that you are winning and taking back control. It is in your downgoing experience that your psoyca capitalizes on by finding and pressing hot buttons. This is done so you may become aware of them to make a more conscious effort in changing them. One does not make the effort to rid one's psyche of the programming and beliefs, then the whole point is lost. You will surely descend back into your personally tailored jail cells. Be that as it may, no one will do it for you, and no one will hold your hand while you are doing it. Will you see your ebbs as unfortunate, random happenings that has nothing to do with false constructs in your line of thought? And in turn, go back to having someone else write your destiny? Or will you take a step back, get your pride under wraps, and in turn see them for what they are, valuable lessons? Now that I have elaborated on the tempering aspect as the ebbs, I would like to go into the flow aspect and what the psoyca meaning to that aspect is. When I say flows, I mean that in a very broad manner and do not by any means mean that it's only one type of experience. When you begin to erode enough beliefs and make space for your psoyca, you begin to tap into a vast storehouse of psoyca knowledge. This is not the ego's preconceived notions of mystical wisdom. It's not even close. Psoyca knowledge is brought on by cleaning one's psyche of any and all external authorship or false programs and beliefs. Once enough is eroded, you will begin to have experiences that thrust you into an experience of knowing who and what you are. These experiences and knowings become larger in scale and more frequent the more you progress and shed yourself of external and self-inflicted programming. Everything on the psoyca path comes in a unique and individual way. Each time it happens, there are no two identical happenings on the psoyca path, as that would not be expansion and or growth. Everyone would be wise to keep that in mind when discerning between psoyca knowings and ego false superiority, because that is a very important tool when you start to experience more and more flows on your path. But only after using your ebbs as a tool to deprogram your psyche and drop false beliefs. You must use your ebbs as a teacher for what you must begin changing so that you can begin experiencing more and more flows, as well as beginning to appreciate your ebbs as the most valuable roadmap to your conscious advancement. I hope everyone who listens to this message thoroughly considers what is being presented. If you know that you are a psoyca or even just suspect it, then you must know that all the trials and tribulations that you have been through that have led you to this point to make the decision that is laid before you at this present moment, now that you have made it this far, the choice to act will rest solely on your shoulders. Hold fast and see it through to the end. This is the only option on earth where the grass is really greener on the other side.